Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Mr. Davies, for that presentation. It was very insightful. So I'd like to ask your opinion on the liberalization of the trade of legal services, which I think the South African legal profession engaged you in during your tenure at the DTI. The African Free Trade Agreement, the WTO agreement, and the General Agreement on the Trade of Services, GATS, all seem to lean towards a liberalization of services, including legal services. My understanding is that South Africa has made full liberalization commitments on the establishment of commercial presence by foreign law firms and therefore foreign lawyers. However, the licensing qualification deterred the full fulfillment of those obligations. More specifically, I'm referring to the licensing qualification of permanent residents. So non-citizen lawyers in South Africa need to acquire permanent residence before admission into the legal profession so they can practice fully. So my question then is, do you think that South Africa is meeting its commitments under GATS? And secondly, what position did yourself and the legal fraternity come to regarding the subject? Thanks.
So let me first of all, the question about trade in legal services. Trade in services in the African Continental FTA is working on a positive list. And I don't think legal services is in it. I'm subject to correction on that, at least initially. It's things like tourism. I see Regis is also shaking his head, so I think it's not in the first instance. But I think the point that he's making is the general point about trade in services issues at all levels. You have these modes. Mode 1, Mode 2, Mode 3. Mode 4 is the one where citizens of the one country are able to move to another country to conduct services. That is always the one that becomes the biggest devil in any of these negotiations. And so you could have the right to establish a commercial presence, but not the lawyers can't come in and that sort of thing without work permits and all that. I think that's going to be one of the biggest and toughest issues to come to terms with on this one. And maybe we need to start to embrace the reality that we construct many barriers because we think we're going to get swamped by low-skilled people who are going to take low-skilled jobs. But actually, they find a way to get here. And who we keep out are many of the skills that maybe could be quite useful to our economies. I'm kind of reminded of the fact that Silicon Valley, something like the majority of the people who are there don't come from the United States and certainly don't come from California. So it's that sort of thing that you have, that kind of, but those issues are always the toughest issues. And I don't know how these things are going to work their way through. There was also supposed to be parallel processes on free movement of business people and stuff like that. Those are always handled by Home Affairs and things like that. So I can't really say where those processes are at the moment. Then on the